Captain Lee Jun was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. The sound echoed through the command center of Titan Station like a wounded animal. He set down his cup and walked quickly to the main console where Commander Park Minji was already working. "What do we have, Park Lee?" Jun asked while looking at the flashing red lights on the screen. "Unknown signal, sir. It came from deep space about 12 light years away. The computer says it might be a distress call, but the language is not in our database." Lee Jun frowned. In his 20 years of service, he had never heard of aliens sending messages to humans. Most species in the galaxy avoided Earth ships like they carried some deadly disease. "Can we translate it?" Park Minji typed quickly on her keyboard. "I am running it through the universal translator now, sir. It will take a few minutes." While they waited, Lee Jun thought about the last time he had dealt with aliens. It was during the trade mission to Alpha Centauri 5 years ago. The alien merchants had looked at him like he was some kind of monster. They kept their distance and finished the deal as quickly as possible. "Got it, sir," Park Minji said suddenly. "The translation is coming through now." The speakers crackled to life. A voice filled with pain and fear spoke in broken English. "Please help us. We are the Vellani people of Viridian Prime. The Korthok Empire has invaded our world. They are killing our children and taking our people. We know you are the humans from the death world called Earth. We helped you once during your great drought. Please remember us. Please help us." The message repeated 3 times, then went silent. Lee Jun felt his blood turn cold. He remembered reading about the Great Drought of 2341. Millions of people on Earth had been dying of thirst when alien visitors had shared their water cleaning technology. The aliens had asked for nothing in return and had left quietly. Nobody had ever learned their names. "Park, pull up everything we have on the Vellani and this Korthok Empire." "Already on it, sir," Park Minji said. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "The Vellani are a peaceful water-breathing species. They live on ocean worlds and have never been in any wars. The Korthok Empire is different. They are a military dictatorship that conquers weaker species and uses them as slaves." Lee Jun studied the information appearing on his screen. The Vellani looked like large dolphins with arms and hands. Their faces were gentle and kind. The Korthok looked like giant lizards with too many teeth and cold, dead eyes. "How many Vellani are there?" "About 200,000 on their home world, sir. Intelligence reports say the Korthok have already captured most of them. They are using them in something called harvesting farms." "Harvesting farms, Park?" Minji looked sick. "They drain the life energy from the Vellani to power their machines, sir. The process kills them slowly over several months." Lee Jun felt anger building in his chest. He had seen slavery before during his time in the outer colonies. It always made him want to break something. But this was worse. This was systematic. Murder! "Get me Admiral Kim on the emergency channel right now." "Sir, are you sure we should get involved? This is not human space. The Vellani are not our allies. Command might not approve." Lee Jun looked at her with steel in his eyes. "Park, those aliens saved millions of human lives and asked for nothing. Now they are being murdered by space pirates and they came to us for help. What kind of people would we be if we turned our backs on them?" Park Minji nodded and opened the channel. Admiral Kim Do-yeon appeared on the screen. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his face from the Proxima Colony Wars. "Admiral, we have received a distress call from the Vellani species. They are under attack by the Korthok Empire and requesting immediate assistance." Admiral Kim was quiet for a long moment. "The Vellani, those are the ones who helped us during the drought." "Yes, sir. They specifically asked for help from the humans of the death world Earth." Admiral Kim smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just found his prey. "Prep the fleet, Captain. It is time to remind the universe why they fear the humans." The transmission ended, and Lee Jun felt his heart rate increase. In a few hours, the most powerful military force in human space would be heading to war. The Korthok Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had hurt innocent people and asked the humans to ignore it. They were about to learn why Earth was called a death world. The next 12 hours changed everything. Ships began arriving at Titan Station from across human space like metal sharks answering a call to hunt. Captain Lee Jun stood on the observation deck watching the most powerful fleet in human history assemble before his eyes. The first to arrive was the dreadnought Souls. Fury, commanded by Captain Choi, headed a massive ship was 3 kilometers long and covered in enough weapons to level a small moon. Captain Choi was known throughout the fleet as the Iron Lady. She had never lost a battle and never left a friend behind. Next came the stealth destroyer, Pusan Ghost under Captain Yoon Tae-ho. The ship looked small next to the dreadnought, but Lee Jun knew it was one of the deadliest vessels ever built. It could appear out of nowhere and destroy enemy ships before they even knew they were under attack. The carrier New Busan arrived, with a cloud of fighter ships around it like angry bees. Wing Commander Shinari was leading a squadron of the best pilots in human space. Each fighter was loaded with enough firepower to take out a cruiser. But the ship that made Lee Jun smile was the Marine Assault Transport, Death's Head. Colonel Bae Sungmin commanded the most feared ground troops in the galaxy. His soldiers had earned their reputation fighting in the worst conditions imaginable. If there were people to rescue on the ground, Bae and his Marines would get them out. "Impressive sight, is it not, Captain?" said a voice behind him. Lee Jun turned to see Commander Park Mingi walking up with a datapad in her hands. She looked tired but excited. "What do you have for me, Park? Intelligence reports on the Korthak Empire, sir. It is not good news. They have 15 heavy cruisers and a fortress station orbiting Viridian Prime. On paper, they outgun us 3-1. Lee Jun nodded. "On paper? But they have never fought humans before, have they?" "No, sir. The intelligence files say most alien species consider humans to be crazy. They call us Deathworlders because we evolved on a planet that tries to kill everything that lives on it, and they think that makes us weak." Park Minji smiled. "They think it makes us unpredictable, sir. Most species evolved on safe worlds with gentle weather and friendly animals. They do not understand how we survived earthquakes and hurricanes and ice ages." A new alarm sounded through the station. Lee Jun looked out the window to see a small damaged ship limping toward the docking bay. It was leaking atmosphere and barely staying in one piece. "What is that Villani refugee ship, sir?" "Long-range sensors picked it up an hour ago. There is one survivor on board." 20 minutes later, Lee Jun stood in the medical bay looking at the strangest creature he had ever seen. The Villani looked like a dolphin that had grown arms and legs. Its skin was blue-gray and wet. Large, dark eyes looked up at him with a mixture of hope and terror. The translator device spoke in a gentle voice. "I am Aqua Singer Thalon. I escaped when the Korthak attacked our capital city. Most of my family is dead. My children are still alive, but they are in the harvesting farms." Lee Jun knelt down next to the medical bed. "We are going to get them back. I promise you that. You do not understand, human friend. The Korthak are processing the children first. They say young Villani have purer life energy. My daughter has maybe 1 week before they drain her completely." Lee Jun felt rage building in his chest like a fire. These monsters were torturing children for fuel. He stood up and activated his communicator. "All ship commanders report to the briefing room in 30 minutes. We launch in 6 hours. Park Minji looked surprised. "Sir, the original plan was to launch in 18 hours. We are still waiting for 3 more destroyers. The plan has changed. Every hour we wait, more Villani children die. We go with what we have." Lee Jun walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back to "In 6 hours, the most dangerous predators your galaxy has ever seen will be heading to your world." The Korthak picked the wrong species to anger. As he left the medical bay, Lee Jun could hear Thalon making sounds that the translator said were songs of hope. The storm was gathering. The jump to hyperspace felt like falling through lightning. Captain Lee Jun gripped his command chair as reality twisted around the human fleet. 47 ships disappeared from normal space and raced through the void toward Viridian Prime. At speeds that broke the laws of physics, 6 hours later they dropped back into real space at the edge of the Viridian system. Lee Jun immediately felt his stomach turn as he saw what waited for them. "Report," he ordered. 15 Korthak cruisers. "Confirmed, sir. Most are in close orbit around Viridian Prime. They appear to be transferring cargo from the surface," reported Lieutenant Commander Hong. G1 from the sensor station. Li Jun knew that cargo was not supplies or equipment. It was Vellani prisoners being loaded onto ships for transport to other harvesting facilities. The thought made his hand shake with anger. Launch reconnaissance drones. I want to know everything about their positions and defenses before we make our move. Captain Yoon! Tai-Ho's voice came over the communication system from the stealth destroyer. Busan Ghost. Permission to scout ahead, sir. We can get close without being detected. Granted. But be careful, Yoon. We need intelligence, not heroics. The Busan Ghost faded from view as its stealth systems activated. Li Jun watched the tactical display as the invisible ship moved deeper into the system. Other captains reported their readiness over secure channels. Seoul's fury ready for engagement came Captain Choi Hannah's steady voice. Her dreadnought carried enough firepower to take on half the Korthok fleet alone. New Busan fighter squadrons armed and ready, reported Wing Commander Shin. Just give us a target, sir. 20 minutes later, Captain Yoon's report came back with disturbing news. The Korthok are using Vellani prisoners as human shields, sir. Every enemy ship has captives chained to the outer hull. They know we will try to rescue them, and they are making it impossible for us to use our heavy weapons. Li Jun closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The enemy was even more cruel than he had imagined. But humans had not survived ice ages and asteroid impacts by giving up when things got difficult. All ships, this is Admiral Li Jun. Change of tactics. We disable their ships instead of destroying them. Marine boarding parties will free them prisoners. Wing Commander Shin, your fighters will target their communication arrays first. Make them blind and deaf. Understood, sir. Beginning attack, run now! Space erupted in flashes of light as dozens of human fighters streaked toward the Korthok fleet. Their missiles struck communication towers and sensor arrays with surgical precision. The enemy fleet suddenly found itself cut off from Central Command. 3 Korthok cruisers broke from the main group to intercept what they thought was a small raiding force. Li Jun smiled grimly as he watched them approach. Choi, bring the souls. Fury around. Let us show these lizards what human engineering can do. The massive dreadnought appeared from behind a small moon like a metal mountain coming to life. Its main guns spoke with voices of thunder. Blue energy beams reached across space and struck the lead Korthok cruiser. The enemy ship's shields flared and died instantly. Human weapons had been designed to work in Earth's violent magnetic storms and electromagnetic chaos. Alien defensive systems built for gentle worlds could not handle the raw power. Direct hit on enemy cruiser 1 reported. The weapons officer, their shields are down and they are venting atmosphere. Target their engines, not their life support, Li Jun ordered. We want prisoners, not corpses. The battle became a deadly dance in the darkness of space. Human ships moved with precision and purpose, while the Korthok fleet flailed around like a wounded beast. The enemy had superior numbers, but humans had superior tactics. Captain Yoon's Busan Ghost appeared behind an enemy cruiser and fired ion cannons that disabled its engines. Wing Commander Shin's fighters swarmed around another ship like angry wasps cutting through its weapon systems. The carrier New Busan launched wave after wave of assault shuttles filled with Marines, ready to board and capture enemy vessels. But it was Colonel Bae Sung-min who turned the battle into a rescue operation. His Marines used cutting tools to break through enemy holes and reach the Vellani prisoners chained outside. Each rescue was dangerous and difficult, but the humans never hesitated. This is Sergeant Major Kim Hanyul reporting from Korthok Cruiser 7, came a voice over the radio. We have freed 43 Vellani prisoners. They are weak but alive. Some need immediate medical attention. Good work, Kim. Get them to the medical ships, Li Jun replied. The battle raged for 3 hours. One by one, the Korthok cruisers were disabled and boarded. Human Marines fought through the ships deck by deck, freeing prisoners and capturing enemies. The Korthok soldiers had expected to fight weak aliens or frightened refugees. Instead, they faced humans who had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Staff Sergeant Jang Curie led her squad through the corridors of an enemy ship. The Korthok warriors were bigger and stronger than humans, but they had never fought an enemy that refused to give up. Every human soldier carried the determination of a species that had survived extinction events and ice ages. "Contact front," Jang shouted as enemy soldiers appeared around the corner. The firefight was short and brutal. Human weapons designed for Earth's harsh conditions cut through alien armor like paper. The Korthok soldiers surrendered quickly when they realized they were outmatched. By the end of the battle, 12 Korthok cruisers had been captured or disabled. 3 had managed to escape into hyperspace, carrying news of the defeat back to their empire. The human fleet had rescued over 8,000 Volani prisoners from the ships. But everyone knew the real challenge still waited on the surface of Viridian Prime. "Damage report," Lee Jun asked. "Minimal casualties, sir. 2 fighters damaged and 7 Marines wounded. Nothing that will keep us from the next phase," reported Commander Park Minji. Lee Jun looked at the blue-green world floating below them. Somewhere on that planet were the harvesting facilities where millions of Volani were being slowly murdered. For fuel, the space battle had been just the beginning. "All ships prepare for planetary assault. Colonel Bay, ready your Marines for ground operations. We are going down there to end this nightmare once and for all." The real fight was about to begin. The drop pods screamed through Viridian Prime's atmosphere like falling stars. Inside each metal coffin, a human Marine sat strapped tight, waiting for the moment when they would hit the ground and begin the most dangerous rescue mission in galactic history. Colonel Bay Sungmin watched his tactical display as 300 pods spread across the planet's surface. Each one carried elite soldiers trained for the worst combat situations imaginable. They had trained in the frozen wastelands of Antarctica and the burning deserts of Africa. They had learned to fight in conditions that would kill most alien species in minutes. "All units report when you hit the ground," Bay said into his communicator. "Remember, we are here to save people, not win glory. Every Volani life matters." The first pods slammed into the ocean world's floating cities with impacts that shook the alien structures. Staff Sergeant Jane Curie felt her teeth rattle as a pod burst open like a metal flower. She rolled out onto a platform made of some kind of living coral and immediately saw the horror that waited for them. The harvesting facility stretched 4 kilometers across the water. Thousands of pools held Volani prisoners connected to machines that slowly drained their life energy. The blue-gray aliens floated motionless in the water while tubes pumped their essence into storage tanks. Many were already dead. "This is Curie to all units. The intelligence reports were wrong. This place is 10 times bigger than we expected. We need more people down here." "Negative, Curie," came Colonel Bay's voice. "You have what you have. Make it work." Jan Curie looked at her squad of 8 Marines and then at the thousands of prisoners who needed help. The math was impossible, but humans had never been good at accepting impossible situations. "Listen up, people," she told her squad. "We start with the children's section and work our way out. Kill any Korthok who try to stop us, but remember, our main job is getting these people out of here." The Korthok guards had expected their orbital fleet to stop any rescue attempt. When human Marines started appearing all over their facility, they panicked. These guards were used to dealing with helpless prisoners, not soldiers who had evolved on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. Private Lee Minho kicked down a door and found himself face to face with a Korthok overseer who was twice his size and covered in natural armor. The alien roared and charged with claws extended. Lee ducked under the attack and shot the creature with his rifle. The energy beam punched through the alien's chest like it was made of paper. "Hostile down," Lee reported. Moving to secure the prisoner holding area. All across the facility, similar scenes played out as human Marines encountered enemy forces. The Korthok were stronger and tougher than humans, but they had never faced an enemy that could think and adapt in the middle of combat. Every human soldier carried the genetic memory of ancestors who had survived by outthinking predators and natural disasters. Sergeant Major Kim Haniel found the children's section and felt rage boil up inside him like lava. Dozens of young Volani floated in tanks barely alive while machines sucked away their life force. Some looked no older than his own daughter back on Earth. "Medical team to Section 7 now," he shouted into his radio. "We have critical casualties here." The rescue operation became a race against time. Human combat medics worked alongside Marine engineers to disconnect the terrible machines while soldiers held off Korthok reinforcements. Every minute counted because the harvesting process was killing the prisoners. Slowly but surely, Captain. Lee Jun monitored the ground operation from orbit while fighting his own battle. The remaining Korthok ships were trying to break through the human fleet to escape with their cargo of prisoners. He could not let that happen. This is Lee to all ground teams. Enemy ships are trying to launch from the southern continent. Can anyone get their negative, sir? Came Colonel Bay's voice. All my people are committed here. We cannot spare anyone. Lee Jun made a decision that would be talked about in military academies for generations. Then I am going down there myself. Commander Park, you have the fleet. Sir, you cannot abandon your command, Park, Minji protested. I am not abandoning anything. I am going where I am needed most. Lee Jun took a shuttle down to the planet's surface and landed near the Korthok fortress bunker, where the enemy commander had retreated with the remaining Volani leadership as hostages. The massive structure was built into an underwater mountain and designed to withstand orbital bombardment. The Korthok Warcast leader Brutok sent a message to the human fleet demanding they withdraw or watch the Volani government die. He had made a fatal mistake. He had just threatened innocence in front of a species that had evolved by protecting their young from monsters. This is Captain Lee Jun of the human fleet, came the reply. You have exactly 1 hour to release all prisoners and surrender. After that, we stop being polite. Brutok laughed at what he thought was an empty threat. One human against his fortress full of elite warriors seemed like a joke. He had no idea that Lee Jun had volunteered for the most dangerous missions in human space for 20 years. The captain had survived the siege of Proxima Colony, where humans had held off an alien invasion for 6 months. Lee Jun entered the fortress through a maintenance tunnel that was flooded with acid. His environmental suit protected him from the chemicals, but he had to crawl through pipes barely wide enough for his body. Most aliens would have died from the toxic atmosphere, but humans had evolved breathing air polluted by volcanoes and meteor impacts. The fortress fell room by room as Lee Jun and a team of volunteers fought their way to the command center. The Korthok warriors were bred for generations to be perfect soldiers, but they had never fought an enemy who could survive in conditions that should have been instantly lethal. The final confrontation came in the fortress throne room, where Warcast Brutok waited with his personal guard. The alien commander was 3 meters tall and covered in natural armor that could stop most weapons. He carried energy weapons in all 4 arms and had razor-sharp claws that could cut through metal. So the little human comes to die, Brutok snarled. You should have stayed in space where you belonged. Lee Jun drew his sidearm and smiled. You made one mistake, Brutok. You hurt innocent people and then asked humans to ignore it. Now you get to learn why Earth is called a death world. The battle was over in 30 seconds. Brutok discovered that humans do not fight with just strength or speed. They fight with the desperate cunning of a species that survived ice ages and asteroid impacts by refusing to give up when everything seemed hopeless. When the smoke cleared, Brutok lay dead, and the last Korthok positions on the planet surrendered. The nightmare was finally over. 3 weeks after the battle, Captain Lee Jun stood on the observation deck of Titan Station, watching something he had never expected to see. Alien ships from 12 different species were arriving to thank the humans for what they had done at Viridian Prime. The first to arrive was Aquasinger Talon in a new Volani vessel called the Song of Hope. The blue-gray alien had recovered from their injuries and now served as an ambassador between their people and humanity. They brought with them something precious beyond measure. Captain Lee Jun Thalen said through the translator device, "My people have voted to give you the highest honor in our culture. You and your warriors will be remembered in our songs for 1,000 generations." Lee Jun felt embarrassed by the praise. We only did what was right, Thalen. Any decent species would have done the same thing. That is where you are wrong, my friend. We sent distress calls to 47 different civilizations before we contacted you. None of them replied. Only the humans from the death world called Earth came to help strangers who could offer nothing in return. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives from species that had never spoken to each other gathered to honor the human fleet. The Centauri Trade Federation offered exclusive trade agreements, The crystal minds of Altair broke their 1,000-year isolation to send a message of gratitude. Even the mysterious shadow runners emerged from deep space to acknowledge what humanity had accomplished. But the message that mattered most came from the Galactic Predator Coalition. This secretive alliance included the most dangerous species in known space, species that other civilizations feared to even mention by name. Admiral Kim Do-yoon read their transmission aloud to the assembled crowd. The humans are no longer prey. Welcome to the hunter's table. Commander Park Min-ji whispered to Lee Jun. Do you understand what this means, sir? The most feared alliance in the galaxy just acknowledged us as equals. No species will ever look at humans the same way again. Lee Jun nodded, but his attention was focused on the medical reports coming in from Viridian Prime. The human rescue mission had saved 180,000 Villani from the harvesting facilities. But 20,000 had died before they could be reached. Every one of those deaths felt like a personal failure. The survivors are asking for human doctors and engineers to help rebuild their world, reported Dr. Song Myra, who had been leading the medical relief efforts. They say they trust us more than their own government now. Why is that? Because we kept our promise, sir. We said we would save them, and we did. Most species make promises they never intend to keep. Humans seem to be different. Over the following months, the galaxy began to change in ways no one had predicted. Species that had suffered under Korthok raids for centuries started fighting back. The news that humans had defeated the Empire's most powerful fleet gave hope to civilizations that had given up long ago. The Singing Forests of Kepler launched their first military expedition in 300 years to reclaim colonies stolen by the Rock Shapers of Vega formed their first army since their species evolved. Everywhere in known space, the weak were standing up to the strong because they knew the humans would answer their calls for help. The Korthok Empire began to collapse as subject species rebelled. Slave camps that had operated for decades were suddenly empty as prisoners escaped or were rescued by local uprisings. The Empire's remaining fleets found themselves fighting a dozen different wars across their territory. But Lee Jun knew that real victory was not military. It was something much more important. Look at this intelligence report, Commander Park Min-ji said as she handed him a data pad. Slavery is becoming unprofitable across the galaxy. Species are too afraid to engage in it because they know humans will eventually find out. Good, Lee Jun replied. Maybe now civilizations will start treating each other with basic decency. The human fleet had been reorganized to reflect their new role in galactic affairs. Lee Jun accepted promotion to Admiral and took command of the new Alien Rescue Task Force. His mission was simple but vital. Whenever peaceful species called for help against oppression, humans would respond with overwhelming force. Commander Park Min-ji established the Galactic Intelligence Network to identify threats before they became genocides. Her agents operated throughout known space, gathering information and building relationships with species that had never trusted outsiders before. Colonel Bae Sungman's Death Head Battalion became the template for new human intervention forces. Marines trained specifically for rescue operations and liberation missions. They studied the cultures and languages of every species they might need to help. Wing Commander Shin Nari founded the first integrated squadron where human and alien pilots flew together. Her mixed-species fighter wings became symbols of the new cooperation spreading through the galaxy. Each member of the original rescue fleet received the newly created Villani Star of Compassion. It was the first military decoration ever awarded by one species to another. The simple blue crystal pendant became one of the most respected honors in human space. 6 months after Viridian Prime, a new distress call reached human space. This time it came from the Whispering Gardens, a species of plant-like beings who were facing extinction from corporate strip mining operations. Their beautiful forest worlds were being clear-cut to build luxury space stations for wealthy aliens. Admiral Lee Jun looked at his assembled fleet commanders in the briefing room. The faces around the table included humans, aliens, and mixed-species crews. All of them wore the blue crystal pendant of the Villani Star. Who else is going to stand between the monsters and the innocent? He asked the room. It had become humanity's unofficial motto. Prep the fleet, came the unanimous reply. As the Armada jumped to hyperspace, Lee Jun reflected on what they had accomplished. Humanity had found their place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or merchants, but as guardians. They had become the species that others called when darkness threatened to overwhelm the light. The galaxy had learned a fundamental truth. Evolution's greatest predator was not the one with the biggest claws or strongest armor. It was the one that chose to protect rather than prey upon the weak. In that choice, humanity had found not just their purpose among the stars, but their path to becoming the guardians the galaxy never knew it needed. Somewhere, in the depths of space, new distress calls were already being prepared. And somewhere else, human ships were getting ready to answer them. The age of humanity as galactic protectors had begun, and it would never end as long as innocent beings needed someone to stand between them and the monsters that hunted in the dark.